Good evening and welcome to Hudson Valley Week in Review, where we look back at the people, places, and issues making news in Ulster County and the region. I'm Amy Greene. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday. Tonight we begin in Ellenville, where the village's police department will soon be equipped with body cameras. Officials say the 16-megapixel cameras will catch all police actions, from traffic stops to drug busts. Police officials say every patrol car currently has a camera. However, authorities say the body cams will allow more transparency. The push comes in the wake of the recent deaths of unarmed suspects Eric Garner in Staten Island and Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, by police officers. We recently caught up with Ellenville Police Chief Philip Matrason, who spoke with us about the body cameras and the benefits he hopes the technology will bring to the village's police department.
I'm currently the Chief of Police in the village of Ellenville. I've been a law enforcement officer in Ellenville for 28 years. I started in 1987 as a patrolman. I then became a dare officer and taught that for 5 years, and then became a detective in charge of narcotics for 5 years, and then became a sergeant, again with narcotics, and then a lieutenant in 2000, and then chief in 2003, and ever since 2003 I've been chief of police here. I have 3 degrees, a degree from SUNY New Paltz in education, and a degree from Ulster County Community College, and also a degree in criminal justice. Our department has about 23 officers between full and part-time, and then 6 civilians. We are about 2.2 square miles. We are a village surrounded by the town of Warsing. We have approximately 4,500 residents in the village of Ellenville. The town of Warsing has about 20,000. We do assist the state police and sheriff's department outside of the village, as well as them assisting us in the village. We respond from everything from your variety barking dog complaint to your parking ticket, all the way up to murders and homicides. We haven't had a homicide here since 2006, where we had 2, but we do have, you know, your typical, you have armed robberies, burglaries, things of that nature. They have been a wonderful, extraordinary asset to the department in a lot of ways, both from a prosecutorial standpoint, in reference to arrests, such as your driving while intoxicated arrests, and anything to do with the vehicle and traffic arrests, and the interactions where the officer has interactions with the operators of the vehicle and the passengers of the vehicle. You could see that from a wide spectrum. And there's a lot of different things that occur in these interactions. And one of the things is it's not only for prosecutorial standpoint, but it's a training tool for us. I get to sit back and watch the interactions after after a couple of different stops. I'll watch and see what the officers are doing to make sure that they're following our policies and procedures, and also to make sure that they're being safe. And how can we improve upon what we're doing? And so going forward, it's a liability. It limits liability exposure when you have these cameras, because it's there. There's no hiding it. It is what it is. You see what it is. So, it's like the old anecdote about the Prego spaghetti sauce. It's in there. What happened here when we established these onboard video cameras and audio systems? My personnel complaints against police officers dropped by 90%. That's an incredible statistic. I used to get 7, 8 complaints a week until people started realizing that I don't have a problem. You want to come in and file a civilian complaint? Here, just take a look at this, and I will pull the video. But understand there are consequences if you lie to the police, and if you're making a false report, there are consequences. Just like there's consequences for police, so it goes on both sides. We review the footage. If you're right, the officer will be disciplined, and appropriate action will be taken place. However, if you're making that story up, you may want to think about this before we go any further. So, once we got those cameras and the word got out, police got the cameras, got the onboard dash cams. You saw a lot of that. A lot of the false allegations disappeared. Now it only comes down when something really happens. That's what I'm finding, is that when I get that one complaint, well, something really took place. We're going to take a look at this, and we're going to review it, and we're going to deal with it as it happened. I will tell you that we've been considering it for a couple of months now. I've been talking with the mayor and the village board, and we've been throwing it back and forth, and obviously looking for where we're going to get the funding. That's always a major concern, funding and everything. Tough economic times, as you know, and I guess my finite decision, it's not just one issue here. There's not just one issue. It's not 2 issues. It's not Ferguson. It's not Garner decision. it's a multitude of things. It's a multitude of things put into this pot. You stir it up and you come up with what I looked at was the final recipe, and that was to be able to provide our officers with the best technology, the best resources, and just another tool in our toolbox to be able to show transparency. And this, in my opinion, after doing all the research, is a win-win situation for everybody, and especially for the sake of transparency, and also for a training tool, and also to limit liability exposure. So there's a whole multitude of reasons why we did this. Not just, there's a lot of publicity about the recent decisions and the recent actions that are going on in the United States involving Ferguson and in Staten Island as in reference to Garner, and it's not that. There's a finite decision for me, and the finite decision was an incident that occurred here 2 weeks ago where officers went into a residence on a domestic dispute, and during the course of the domestic dispute, the suspect quickly grabbed a steak knife, turned around, and displayed it at the officers in very close proximity. Luckily, the officers reacted appropriately, were able to disarm the suspect immediately, and one of the officers that was responding was able to videotape it on his cell phone. So I got to see everything, and during the course of that, the victim in this case was trying to slam his head against the wall and was yelling out that that this would be yelling different things out, and you're seeing him slam his head against the wall, and you could just picture what the allegations would be had we not had this on video. So, and also thinking about, had this thing gone south, had it gone bad, what would I have to rely on? Well, I would have had to rely on the two officers that were present in the room, and then you have the suspect. Hopefully it didn't end tragically. You would be able to talk to him, but if it did end tragically, what did you have? You had just a girlfriend. So it would have been, word against word. And, we'd like to have a little bit more than that. There's no distrust factor here. I just want to see it on video. How did it happen? Was it justified? What actions did the officer take? Could they have done something differently? So I know this is a long synopsis of what brought us to that point, but basically, once I saw that, that was finite for me. Based on everything else that we had mixing it together, this was the perfect recipe for police. Right now, we received a generous donation from 613 Automotive, which is a business right up the street here. They are funding our initial deployment of 6 body cameras for the village of Ellenville. We will use them as a test pilot, so to speak. We'll use them, see how they work, see what the bugs are. It's technology, it's new, so there's always going to be issues with it. Is it the final solution? No, it's not going to be the final solution. There's always going to be something out there that's better. But we're going to use right now we have a deployment of 6 that we're going to be putting in place after we get the policies and procedures adopted and everything, all the details get worked out. We will be using 6. Now, if President Obama, if his initiative comes through, we'll be able to outfit our whole department with funding to be able to outfit our whole department with body cameras. It will be stored on a standalone server, secured in a secure room, and the administrators for the department will be the only ones that will have the password to download the footage. It will be immediately downloaded to the secure server and then immediately downloaded onto thumb drives to be secured in accordance with evidence procedures. Officers are constantly going all day long. There's a lot of mundane, routine stuff to do. I'm not going to sit there and review hours and hours of video footage. If there's something that gets called to our attention, or a significant felony occurs, or a significant misdemeanor occurs, or there's a complaint that's brought by the general public, then you go back and review it, just like you do with the dash cams. The dash cams are running 24/7. I don't review everything on the dash cam, every traffic stop that's done. We do review periodically. We spot check it and review it, and we'll do that with the body cams. We'll spot check and review and take a look at different things for training purposes and for the ability to move the department forward. I hope that what they accomplish is that it's, as I said, another tool in a toolbox, and what the final accomplishment will be is for training. You have a well-trained police department, you have a well-disciplined police department, and if everybody out there knows, hey, it's no secret, you're going to see the camera right there. So you're going to know your interactions are all videotaped, and it's going to go for both sides. So at the end of the day, we hope to have the professionalism, the dedication that we constantly display. We hope to have that on throughout the course of it, and we will constantly, in the end, be able to have a highly trained, a well-disciplined police department. And God forbid, that there is a tragic incident, we will be able to have multiple angles at the same time rolling, so we'll be able to get multiple angles and we'll be able to get the whole picture. You know, it's interesting when you run cell phone footage of incidents that you know, you hear on the news. Well, we captured a cell phone footage by civilians standing by. They took the cell phone footage. My question to that would be, when did they take the cell phone footage? Was it 4 minutes after the incident began, or was it when the incident began? So with these cameras, there's no question to that. These cameras actually roll back. They start 15 seconds prior to the incident happening. So when it activates, they'll roll back 15 seconds. So we'll have it from when the officer is rolling up to the scene to when the situation ends. So we'll have a totality of it. And as you know, having a totality of the circumstances is always better than having one slice of the pie. I think that's the movement you have right now. I think that I know that a lot of agencies outside of New York and nationally are starting to use them. I know that New York City is going to go to them. I know that several agencies within the locality are taking a look and actually examining them to see what their value is. I know that the Ulster County Sheriff's Department's ordered 18 of them locally. So you're going to see a movement nationwide, which is already underway, and you can tell by President Obama's introducing legislation where he wants to go with this and where this program is going to go. This is not Big Brother watching somebody. This is and that's the ignorance we got to get away from. We have to get away from that mindset. That mindset is, well, you just want to know what we're doing or what we're eating for lunch. We don't really care what you're eating for lunch. That's not the purpose of this. What I care about is that every member of this community is treated in a civil, respectful manner, and that the rights that they're guaranteed fundamentally by the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution set forth in New York State are protected, and that those rights, while protected, will equally be protected for those rights of the police who are dealing with both aspects of this situation. Next step in this process is they're on order. We've done a demonstration model for the last 2 weeks with one single camera. It's been approved by the mayor and the village board at a meeting. The funding is in place. The next step is that we are developing policies and procedures, which will be reviewed by our labor attorney. They will be sent to the village board for approval. Once those policies and procedures are in place, the cameras will come in the interim, so timing is everything. I have a time frame in mind, but the best laid plans sometimes don't take effect. But we're looking at everything coming together. Hopefully within a month we'll be up and running with these body cameras, and we'll should have them by the beginning, in place by the beginning of the year. That's my timetable on it. Once the board approves those policies and procedures, cameras come in, we'll set up a training for the department, because with everything it's training. So the officers will be trained in their use. They'll also have a lot of the myths dispelled about them at that training. We will take they'll take a look at it. We'll do some demonstrations, and we'll answer questions from the officers that are going to be using them, and then they'll be deployed into the field.
When we come back, not quite ready to let go of that holiday spirit, we visit 2 local attractions where the magic of the season is still in full swing. We'll be right back.